Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. I hope all of you are doing good. Now we are just weeks away from Mobile World Congress, where new HMD Global devices, the HMD phones, will be announced alongside with probably Nokia branded feature phones. Still speculation at this point of time. In a couple of weeks we get to know where all this is heading. Now with me here is the Asha 311. This runs on an S40 platform which supports Java based apps. And I have to say that the Asha 311 is probably the most well-designed, well-executed feature phone of its time, something that I hope that they will revive for modern use purposes. Now, as you can see, this is a tiny, sleek device and it's really small next to the Nokia 9 POV that I have here. Really clean device in terms of its design, though made by plastic on the back. Other than some minor scuffs, they still hold solid. The same can't be said for many of the feature phones of its competitors back from 2012. Now, a rather simple looking device, really clean in terms of its execution, really smooth but looks premium. Really like this dual tone approach where you got this darker black here with the shades of gray separated with a metal band. Looks minimalistic but really well executed. Now on the front it has a 3-inch display which is protected by Corning Gorilla Glass, and I think this comes with a Nokia clear black display technology because the blacks are really good for a feature phone. Now do take note that this runs on a 1 GHz processor with 128 MB of RAM, but it is still fluid. The built-in storage is just 256 MB, but you can expand it thanks to the micro SD card support. You've got a 3.5mm head jack for you to listen to all your beautiful musics, and also acts as an antenna for the radio function, micro USB port for charging purposes and data transfer, and of course the mini pin charging support here. Now on the front you've got this gorgeous display covering almost 90% of the device, with just a couple of buttons here to answer or reject calls, which also works as to switch on and off the device. And right here is the volume rocker with this beautiful looking user interface here. Really like its execution. The colors are really nice for a feature phone. And switch on and switch off the display. And as you can see, though being a feature phone, this supports this gesture based navigation where everything is just a swipe away, something which we saw in Nokia N9, and also uses these squircle icons which was introduced with the Nokia N9. Really like how it tries to blend in certain smartphone functionality into a feature phone, and I have to say to a larger extent it did succeed, because in 2012's apps were in kilobytes and megabytes. You don't really get to experience the stark differences between a feature phone and a smartphone because the apps themselves were limited in executing what they could. Probably it only lacks multitasking and also certain graphic intense game. Now as you can see also, compared to the conversion of the Symbian S60 to a touch-based input, the Asha 311 on an S40 platform with this Nokia N9 sort of interface here is really smooth. I really like it, really smooth experience throughout. Now this user interface also allows you to sort of tinker with it. You can add in your own options, shortcuts and contacts, so you got some flexibility on how you want to do things. And your far right swipe allows you to access to certain functions. If you want to change it to music or dialer, you can also do that, so that everything is just a swipe away. There you go. Now one thing that I really like about this device is its haptic feedback. So typing on this device is really good. Now one thing that I have not mentioned yet is this is probably the first Nokia feature phone to support capacitive display, and it also has a multi-touch input. So you can either type on this portrait mode or a landscape mode, doesn't matter, and you get to experience really good typing experience. Let's wait for it to organize itself. There we go. And you do have this prediction text prediction inputs, so typing is really fast and smooth. A really good experience to type on this device right here. Now pretty much this is a standard feature phone to a larger extent, where calendars are local calendars. You do have a very good and capable browser back in 2012. It's probably called as Nokia Express browser initially, which was later updated to be running on an Opera based one. So this is an Opera 4.5 if I'm not mistaken, and you've got this cool looking music app which actually not just play music apps but also plays video. But do take note that the video format is only limited to 3GP, so unless you're going to convert other formats to 3GP, you won't be able to run any other files here. And I really like the interfaces here, and as you can also see, I've got tons of my music collection still here thanks to the micro SD card support. It's really nice. Really like the interface, simple yet intuitive, really easy to use. Now earlier on I showed you that this camera has this flat camera module over the back which lacks any sort of flash. This is a 3.2 megapixel camera which is fixed focus, but don't be fooled by it. So I want to show you a couple of let me show you one image here. Now this is just a random shot that I took. One thing probably that you didn't notice that I'm doing right here is the pinch to zoom function. So back in 2012, these pinch to zoom functions were something of a novelty for smartphones, and you get to experience that on a feature phone segment like the ones on the Nokia Asha 311. And you can see the 3.2 megapixel fixed focus snapper really takes good image, really clear, really impressed for a 12-year-old feature phone device here. Really beautifully executed by Nokia. Now the camera interface is something that I really miss. We get to see some of its features on newer devices. You do have this fun mode which you can try the different effects. So imaging on this device is something really fun. As you can see, I really like these tiny things that Nokia sort of combine to give you a really fun experience. And what's impressive here is that you do get to somewhat experience the pro mode on a feature phone segment here. Really cool move by Nokia back then. Now strangely, the camera and the video apps are separated. So video apps is here, and this is probably recording on a QVGA format, so it's not much that we can do these days, but you can still use it to record. I've got a simple file browser which allows you to access your memory card as well as your inbuilt storage, radio which works well with the headset connected on, internet radio, something that I could not access, and tons of apps that were exclusive to smartphones would be able to be accessed with this device back then. WhatsApp, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, a lot of things, and even it has a dedicated app store back then which later was switched to an Opera based store. But these days you can simply just go to certain website like PhoneKey, for example, to use the Java based apps, which allows you to do much more than you could ever imagine to do on a device like this. Now do take note here that although you have these maps apps here, the Nokia Asha 311 actually lacks the GPS module, so that you can't be using GPS module to lock your position. Instead, it relies on your 2G and 3G network to triangulate your position. So this is somewhat relies on your network connection instead of a GPS module, which is one of the reasons why it is not really working well where I am here, because the 2G network is limited. We no longer have a 3G network. So in certain countries where the 2G network is still active, you can probably try that on here. For the maps data itself, I'll share you a website which you can easily download the maps and just follow the instruction given in the website and just transfer it to your phone, and you get to experience the whole offline map experience. And if you've got a 2G running there, you are good to go. Now thanks to the Wi-Fi connectivity, you can still do a lot more without your SIM card inserted. As I'm showing you right here, you can still use it to browse. I'll suggest you to get Opera Mini 7, probably one of the well executed browser to try on. So I can still use my Wi-Fi here to get connected, and just going to do some random website search. And do take note, you have to have some amount of patience. These aren't really some fast devices, but as you can see, really still smooth going on this Opera browser here, really well optimized for feature phones. And if you've not noticed, you can still use the link to access to your Facebook and whatnot. Now something that it is sad to say is because this device can actually still be used to access YouTube. So JTube is a really powerful app which allows most of the Symbian devices and even Java based ones to access and play YouTube. On the Asha 311 here, a couple of weeks ago I was able to play YouTube, because if you were to choose the 144 resolution mode, it will be playing the files with the 3GP format. Anything higher, it will be downloading on an MP4 format, which the device doesn't really support. So for example, if I were to select a random video here, you can see that the YouTube app itself is accessible. You can see the thumbnail, you can load all the latest videos here, but if you were to click on it to play, and though it shows that it's going to download at 144 resolution, well, in fact it does not. Instead it downloads one which is probably higher, supporting an MP4 format instead, so you don't get to enjoy the video playback, but you can still listen to the audio. I do believe that they will be fixing it back, because I was able to do it a couple of weeks ago but no longer able to do so, and I've checked everywhere else. So as you can see, you can still use it to listen to music if you want to, but video is something that I could not do as of now with the latest 2.6 version of JTube. And I've seen a couple of videos from months ago where JTube can still play YouTube files on the Asha 311. So maybe the next update will probably sort this resolution issue so that it can download at 144 resolution and play YouTube. And one thing that is really interesting here is the tons of games that you can still play with the Asha 311. So these are all Java based games, so you can just download and sideload them, and there are tons of such applications. And do take note that Java was written at a time where most of the apps were still using physical key buttons, so you need to get one that supports touch. So you can see games like this are still very much playable. This is probably one of the most fun game back in 2012. You get to still experience it, though it might be slightly slower than you want it to be, but yes, you can see you can still play if you want to. Now, and when it comes to emulator based games, you might want to be careful with the emulator itself. I have here with me JME Boy. There are tons of emulator. Do take one that supports the touch display, because emulators were done at a time where most of the apps or the hardware were physical keys, so you want to have one that supports virtual keys. So I'm just going to run some random game, and just to show you that this emulator supports a virtual key, which you can allows you to interact with the games here. So this is something that you want to try if you want to. There are tons of games that allows you to do this. And the other thing that I need to say is that if you were to load certain other emulators, and then you can still run your virtual keyboard to control it, but then what happens is that you might not be able to see the game itself, because half of the screen will be taken by the keyboard itself. So these are just some of the games that I've just loaded to just try it on. And let's see whether this has an on-screen keyboard. And this is what I've said earlier. You can probably run here the virtual keyboard, but once you do that, as you can see, it really takes the real estate for the games itself. So playing the games might not be an enjoyable experience, but to a large extent you do get to play a lot of games thanks to the Java based support. So this is just a quick look into the Asha 311 and what you can do in 2024. Really interesting phone, really interesting feature phone, really powerful feature phone. You can still do a lot more in 2024 than you can ever imagine. So with that said, I hope to see you in the next video. I hope to share with you more information on the upcoming HMD phone devices in days to come. And with that said, Android 14 should be rolling out pretty soon for many of HMD devices. I hope you all have a pleasant weekend and stay safe.